Hey, sixth grade, we're going to get started on our lesson on dividing decimals. So, first things first, we have to get our learning goals out of the way. So, your learning goals for this lesson, you have two of them. Today I will, number one, review the vocabulary we use when dividing decimals. And number two, I will divide decimals. That only makes sense, right? Seeing how we're doing a decimals unit. So we're going to start with the vocabulary. And remember, sixth grade, that you can pause this so you can get everything down in your notes. So over here on the side, I am going to write a little division equation. And then we're going to draw lines to the parts that the vocabulary words label. So let's say we have 31 and 2/10 divided by 6/10. All right, so now we need to go over our vocabulary. So the first word we're going to go with is dividend. And the dividend is the decimal or number, wow, it's hard to talk and type at the same time, the decimal or number being divided into equal groups. Okay, yeah, I know, I just typed right into the middle of my problem. Well, your dividend, for this equation is going to be your 31 and 2/10, because that is the number that's being divided into equal groups. Your next number is going to be your divisor. And the divisor is the number or decimal that divides into the dividend. And that's it. The divisor is the number or decimal that divides into the dividend, which means this little guy right here on the outside of the problem is your divisor. And finally, we have the quotient. And that is just a fancy word for the answer to a division equation. And you'll find your quotient, when you solve your equations, your quotient, your answer will be up here on the top, which I realize that a lot of that you already know that just because you've already done long division quite a bit. So make sure you get all of that in your notes. And this next section, you also will need to get this in your notes as well. I know it's a lot of writing, but you are going to need to make sure you get all of the steps for dividing decimals in your notes. That way you have the information there to look back on it when you need it, when you're trying to solve your problems. So let's get going with the 5 steps to solving a division problem. Okay. Here we go. Make sure you have your pencil ready because we have a lot. Okay, we're going to do one more equation together, and then I will give you a few of the equations for you to do in your notes so that you can bring them to class with you. So we are going to have 3 and 48/100 divided by 48/100. All right, so we already have this set up just like long division algorithm. So we're going to move the decimal of the dividend over 1, 2 places. So then we come over here to the divisor. We move the decimal over 1, 2 places. I'm going to stretch this thing out again. All right, now we get to divide just like we do with whole numbers. Okay. Oh, no, I skipped a spot. Sorry, we move the decimal point over in the divisor. Oh, and then we move it over in the dividend. No, it got erased. All right, so how many times does 48 go into 348? It goes in there 7 times. So 348 minus 336, 8 minus 6 is 2, 4 minus 3 gets you 1. Now we're going to add some zeros after the decimal point. Drop that 0 down so we have 120. And 48 goes into 120 2 times. So 48 times 2 is 96. So let's see, 120 minus 96. We have to do a lot of regrouping here. So we'll borrow a 10 and turn the ones into 10 ones. And 10 minus 6 equals 4. 1 minus 9, well, we sure can't do that. So we'll borrow from the hundreds. Now we have 11 tens. So 11 minus 9 equals 2. We have to drop down another 0. So 48, or 240 divided by 48. 48 goes into 240 5 times. And 5 times 48 is an even 240. So we know that we're out. So we've done all of our dividing, and our final step is to move the decimal point straight up into the quotient. So our quotient for this equation is 7 25/100ths. Okay, here are your 3 equations, and you will have to start with step 1 of the 5 different steps you take to solve decimal equations. So 3 divided by 25/100ths, 39 6/10ths divided by 11/100ths, and 5 51/100ths divided by 16/100ths. So make sure you get those solved in your notes. Make sure I can see all of your work and bring those to class with you. I'll see you soon.